Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. I'm Amy Shannon, but you can call me Amy. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome, and I hope all is well with you. You should know that my heart is always with you as well. This is the third Sunday of the month, so that only means one thing, at least here, that is Poetry Corner. Today I will be sharing work from some of my favorite poets and their poems. It's funny, I was going through to a garage sale, so I saw this book in a pile. People will throw all these books in a box and say, oh yeah, it only cost $1. Well, I think I paid $0.25 for this book, and I find it was very interesting. It's a wonderful story, or collection, of poems, and some you may have never heard of. It's called A Controversy of Poets, and it's an anthology of contemporary American poetry. This book, let's see here, it has a variety of poems. It's was published by Anchor Books, which is part of Doubleday and Company. And the copyright of this book, this particular edition, is 1965. So, as I was reading this book, it just kind of was like so interesting to read something and read work from those I had never heard of. So, when I was reading it, I just kind of found several poems that I like, but there's one that just kind of stood out, and it's just very interesting. It's by a poet named Thomas Merton, Merton, and his poem, he has several poems in this book, but the one I'm picked out is called A Practical Program for Monks. 1. Each one shall sit at the table with his own cup and spoon, and with his own repentance. Each one's own business shall be the most important affair, and provide his own remedies. They have neglected bowl and plate. Have you a wooden fork? Yes, each monk has a wooden fork as well as a potato. 2. Each one shall wipe away tears with his own saint. When 3 bells hold in a store a hot afternoon, each one is supposed to mind his own heart with its conscience night and morning. Another turn on the wheel, ho-hum, and observe, Abbot. Time to go to bed in a straw blanket. 3. Plenty of bread for everyone between prayers and psalter. Will you recite another? Merci, miserere. Always mind the clock and the abbot until eternity. Miserere. 4. Details of the rule are all liquid and solid. What canon was the first to announce regimentation before us? Mind the step on the way down. I dare you are right, Father. I believe you. I believe it is easier when they have ice water and even a lemon. Each one can sit at a table with his own lemon and mind his conscience. 5. Can we agree that the latter part of the lemon is regular? In any case, it is better to have sheep than peacocks, and cows rather than a chained leopard, says Modest in one of his proverbs. The monastery is being owner of the communal rowboat and is the antechamber of heaven. Surely that ought to be enough. 6. Each one can have some rain after vespers on a hot afternoon, but ne quid nimis, or the purpose of the order, will be forgotten. We shall send you the hyacinth and his sweet millennium. Everything the monastery provides is pleasant to see and to sell for nothing. What is baked smells fine. There is a sign of God on every leaf that nobody sees in the garden. The fruit trees are there on purpose, even when no one is looking. Just put the apples in the basket. In Kentucky, there is also a room for a little cheese. Each one shall fold his own napkin and neglect the others. Rain is always silent in the night under such gentle cathedrals. Yes, I have taken care of the lamp, Monsieur. Have you a patron saint and angel? Thank you. Even though the nights are never dangerous, I have one of everything. So there is that one. And I do have a couple others, and that are, they mean something when I read them. They remind me of something or someone, and it also shows that, maybe in 100 years someone will pick up one of my poems and say, oh, I like this poem. Anyways, my next one is a very short one, and it's by Robert Frost. And if you've read the book The Outsiders, and or have seen the movie The Outsiders, for the Soch and the Greasers, and that particular story, you may recognize this poem. Nothing gold can stay. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank down to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. One of my, this is a poem that I discovered when my father, when I was a teenager, he gave me this piece of paper. It was worn and old, and it had a picture of a rose on it, and it had this poem on it, and he gave it to me because he knew that I liked poetry. And at the time, he was in his poetry phase where he would write poetry. My father went through a lot of phases, so once he thought he knew everything, like he would do things. He went to school and got an associate's degree in psychology, and after he studied psychology and got his degree, he moved on to something else. Being a genius, sometimes you get to a point where you think, okay, that's all I need to know about that, and then you move on to something else. So he went through a long stage of writing poetry. I never shared with my father my poems until I was an adult. This one is by Robert Burns. Robert Burns was my father's favorite poet. A red, red rose. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that sweetly played in tune. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles. And Robert Burns, if you've read any of his work, you probably recognize that, but he has a lot of other poems that are just as brilliant as that one. Another one of my poems is from Maya Angelou, and this is it's probably one of her more popular poems, I should say. Caged Bird. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through. His bars of rage, his wings are clipped, his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. When a caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright light, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. You know, she's quite remarkable. And to just kind of finish up this thing about this podcast, of my favorite poems, I have to definitely read a couple from Walt Whitman, because he is my favorite. Come, said my soul, such verses for my body let us write, for we are one. That should I, after death, invisibly return, or a long, long hence in other spheres, there to some group of mates the chance resuming, telling earth's soils, trees, winds, and tumultuous waves, ever would please smile I may keep on, ever and ever, yet the verses owing as first I hear, and now, signing for the soul and body, set to them my name. And the last one I'm going to read is called One Self I Sing. One self I sing, a simple, separate person. You utter the word democratic, the word en masse. Of physiology from top to toe I sing, not of physiognomy alone, nor brain alone is worthy for the muse. I must say form complete is worthier far. The female equally with the male I sing, of life immense in passion, pulse, and power, cheerful for their freest action form under the laws divine, the modern man I sing. So those are just some of my favorite poems. I could just kind of go on, and the truth is that I really enjoy poetry. I like reading them and feeling what the poet has felt, and I see how each one has its own kind of writing style, and sometimes they have it, set in, a specific type of poem where they write in stanzas, and they use rhymes and various poetic ways of, you have to excuse me. Sometimes my mind just doesn't think straight. So, there's technique to writing poetry, but the best poems come when you're not looking for technique. You're just writing, and writing. If you're a poet, you know what I mean. I've heard people say, oh, it's not a poem if it doesn't rhyme. Well, that's not true. There are a lot of different poems that don't rhyme, and the ones that don't are free verse, and there are so many types of poetry, and some are like the ones that astound me, which I have not attempted to write, and I don't think I would be able to, because of the technique is long, and it's pretty amazing to write an epic poem. And I'm talking about something like, Beowulf, or the Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno. Those are just so amazing and powerful epic poems that basically an epic poem tells a complete story, and it has specific techniques to writing that poem. So if you want to challenge yourself and you're a poet, that would be one way to really challenge yourself. I see as you could write a story and then figure out how to create it into an epic poem, or you start out writing specific for the epic poem and try to decipher the technique and how you're going to write it, because I think it's very important that as a writer, as a poet, you challenge yourself. I've challenged myself by writing in various genres, going from full-length novels to poetry collections and short stories, and then a nonfiction historical book. And I'm still inspired to continue by doing research and studying the history of specific people that lived in my area for a very long time, hundreds of years ago. You don't have to be famous to have made a mark on someone's life. If you're a poet and you want your poems to be featured on Amy's Bookshelf Reviews Poetry Corner, go to the website amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast for more information. Please feel free to subscribe to my website, where you'll get all the great email campaigns and blog posts about authors, their books, and my recommendations. You might be just as lucky as I am to find that hidden gem that keeps you reading your work of your new favorite author. Be well and be safe, and thank you, and I'll talk to you next week. This has been Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening, and always be kind and stay safe. Thank you.